So, what are character strengths? The first thing you want to understand is the VIA Character Strengths Assessment is a classification of positive traits in human beings. That is so encouraging to me because these are all the positivity characteristics that are found in humans worldwide. Character strengths give us a common language for describing what is the best about us. So you and I have a way to be able to describe what is absolutely outstanding about us, and we'll have a commonality. We'll have a way of seeing the same kinds of things as it relates to what's best in you and what's best in me. Your character strengths reflect who you are at your core. These are the strengths, the traits that really represent the best of who you are in your inner being. And finally, we each have a distinct constellation of strengths, and no one expresses the strengths the same as you. So, what that means is if you think about the universe, the stars have a particular pattern, the way that they show up, if you will, in our universe. That's exactly the same for you and exactly the same for me. Our character strengths have a distinct constellation, they have a pattern, they have a way of showing up in our lives. And even if we have the exact same character strengths, you and I still will not express them the exact same way. That is exciting news. Now, what I want you to do is to list your top 5 signature strengths and the buckets that they're in. So, looking at your VIA classification of strengths, you want to look at just the top 5 and write out individual each strength and the bucket that they're in. So, for example, mine would sound like spirituality in transcendence, perspective in wisdom, hope in transcendence, etc., etc. You want to keep this handy. You want to memorize these strengths. You want to show up using these strengths every single day. So I want you to think about a time in the last 24 to 48 hours in which you used your top 5 or one of your top 5 signature strengths. It could have been at a meeting or with your spouse, driving, thinking through your life, planning a meeting, whatever the case may be, in the last 24 to 48 hours, I want you to think about where you showed up using your key signature strengths. So look at your top 5 and think through, when did you show up using, if your strength was bravery or honesty or leadership, fairness, zest, whatever your top strengths are, there's a story behind them. And where that story is, that's where you showed up at your best. And so when you think about when you were at your best, I want you to write that story down because it is a time that you will use as a benchmark. That's how you look. That's how you are when you are using your signature strengths, when you are thriving in your life, and you want to be mindful of that. So take the time, last 24 to 48 hours, top 5 strengths, find one or maybe 2 or 3, and write out your strengths-based story. Many times we are talking to ourselves inside of our head. You're not crazy. That's exactly what we all do. And the self-talk that we have going on isn't as productive as it could be. Again, character strengths give us a common language. Well, we need to start using that language for ourselves. We need to start filling our minds with correct language that describes the core of who we are when we are at our best. And character strengths do that. Starting with the keywords that I'm about to give you, I want you to write 5 affirming statements, 5 statements that affirm who you are based on your top 5 signature strengths. These are not lies. These are absolute truths because they're based in your character strengths assessment that you've now self-evaluated and you recognize, hey, I am wise, or I am transcendent, or I do have honesty or bravery or even judgment as my top strengths. We're going to convert who you are into strengths-based statements. Here is the exact terminology. Let me make sure I get my terminology correct for you. Starting with the words, I am the type of person who. I want you to write 5 declarative statements based on your top 5 signature strengths, either using their definition, using their words, using your own words, using the buckets that they're in. So, for example, my top one says, I am the kind of person, or I'm the type of person who is spiritual. I'm always looking at the larger meaning of life. That makes me feel so good. So that I'm not like, am I crazy thinking about this is a divine moment? Another example, one more I'm going to give you from me, and then you're going to write down your top 5. I am the type of person who takes others' perspectives into account. That is critical as I'm running my company, as I'm on the radio, as I'm doing the things that I am doing. I am always taking other people's perspectives into account to add to my body of knowledge. That's how I am wise. That's how I show up wise in the world. Now, look at your top 5 character strengths, either the definitions, the buckets that they're in, or the words themselves, and create for yourself 5 powerful, affirming statements that start with the phrase, I am the type of person who, and have fun doing it. In order to drive these learnings home, we have got to apply, apply, apply. In other words, practice, practice, practice. You've now got a lot of information, juicy information about yourself. So, in order to make sure that you're able to integrate it into your life, it has to go through your mind, it has to become habit. So, in order to begin to do that, I want you to be mindful over the next several weeks, mindful about those 5 powerful affirming statements that you have made, mindful about who you are becoming, mindful about using your top signature strengths. The research says that people who apply, use and know and apply their signature strengths are 18 times more able to flourish and thrive in their lives. So you want to integrate the core of who you are into everything that you do. So over the next several weeks, become mindful about your top 5 signature strengths, the buckets that they are in, the meaning that they bring forward in your life, how you show up when you show up using those strengths. And if you really, really want to make sure that you're going to be integrating them into your life on an ongoing basis, why don't you pull in an accountability partner? Call up that best friend, get them on the text and say, hey, every Thursday, I want you to check in. I want you to see if I am integrating the best of who I am in all that I am doing in my life. It is a wonderful way to become mindful and to grow, because that's the key to success. People who thrive are always growing. Have fun with this exercise.